Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Sagittarius. If Sagittarius is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so Sagittarius, tonight our card is, yes, the Magician. Well, I love seeing the Magician. Usually, I would say that when I see the Magician, it makes me really stop and think, okay, this is a person who has really come into a place in their life line, right, their timeline of living, where they are fully empowered, right? They are really molding the world around them into their vision, okay? You can think of the Magician as the architect, right? But the architect of your own reality. Okay, and not only the builder, well, the conceiver, the builder, the witness, but also, yeah, kind of the moderator too, right? You're like changing aspects of your life, getting energies to flow in certain directions. And so when we see this, yes, it's a big thumbs up. All right, let's take a look. So if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It's free to subscribe. Okay. Also, if you want to hit the like button or leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. All right. So I want to start right here. Okay, so we have, it looks like a person, and you can see they're kind of wearing a hat right here. Maybe a dress or an apron or some kind of long garment, a robe or something like this. Now, we also have flowers over here, and it looks like they are picking the flowers. And beneath them we have, it looks like a peacock. You can see even, look at how detailed it kind of looks. It's amazing how these tea leaves can kind of just fold into something and you're like, oh yeah, that looks like a peacock. But you can see the beak right here. Here's that little tassel thing they have on their head. And kind of in a roosting position. That is kind of in a perched and restful position. Now, we also have a dog right here, and we have kind of these exclamation lines coming out of it. So the dog represents, usually anyways, a protector, somebody who is loyal, a best friend, something along these lines, okay? So I feel like just looking at this, there's almost this feeling of coming out of a period of time where maybe you were, well, let's just say it, peacocking, right? What does that mean? That's kind of like when we show off our best side, right? And if you know anything about animals and their kind of mating rituals, a peacock, a male peacock, will open all of its feathers, and this is how we kind of think of them, where all of their tail feathers are out and they're kind of doing a little dance, they're strutting around and showing off those beautiful feathers. Well, it's because they're trying to attract a mate. Okay, so when we say peacocking, that is usually when we're witnessing somebody really like lay it on thick. Right? Or they are, really kind of just trying to maybe like dress up a little bit more, do your makeup a little bit more, your hair, you're planning conversations if you happen to have a brief moment of passing. And I'm thinking about like, you have a little crush at work or something, and you're like thinking, okay, what did I watch last night? I remember he said or she said that they really like this, so I'm going to find out a couple of facts about that, you know, and really kind of this, and listen, it doesn't have to be that you're trying to hook up with them or you're interested in dating them. This could be friendships. Let me tell you, for myself, I will go so much further in trying to get to know somebody and find things that we can connect on and thinking of like, okay, if I'm going to see them, what am I going to talk about? Not romantic courtship, barely that, right? It is the friendships. It is the friendships that, you know, it's not, especially if you're older like myself, you know, once you're past like 30, maybe even, well, 35 or 40, right? It becomes a little more difficult to meet people and become friends. And so I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the situation here, and I almost feel like you had been really focused on getting someone's attention. Okay, maybe it wasn't a certain person, but maybe it's like I'm putting myself back out there. And maybe it is dating, and maybe it is like trying to meet somebody to, you know, have some kind of relationship or companionship, or I don't know exactly what a situationship is, but I imagine it's kind of like dating or friendship, but extra benefits to it. I don't know exactly. Maybe that, I don't but it could also be that you've been trying to meet some new friends, right? Trying to have a little bit more community. Well, I feel like, you know, you've kind of maybe lost your steam a little bit. And it's not like, I don't feel you like, you know, defeated or anything, but it's kind of like, okay, that was fun. Now it's kind of, you know, if you're in the northern hemisphere, we're going into autumn, even though it's still been really warm. And just a sense of kind of slowing down a little bit, right? Maybe you're not doing as many social things or, you know, hanging out with other people or going to events or whatever it is. But I see you kind of really focused on, stopping and smelling the flowers, enjoying your life. And with the dog behind, we have the kind of exclamation mark. I feel like it's almost kind of a reminder that, I imagine that maybe you want a new friend, or maybe you are looking for companionship or a hookup or whatever it is, but there is somebody in your life who's already there. And this maybe is an old friendship. This maybe is like a sibling. It could be an ex, you know, whatever. But there's kind of like this, like, don't turn a blind eye to this person who is already in front of you, okay? Now, I don't know if there were troubles or if you just kind of grew away from each other, but I do feel like they will be kind of putting out feelers to see if you are interested in communicating a little bit more. Maybe going out to have dinner or, you know, coffee or whatever. And I feel you being pretty receptive, honestly. Now, I want to go down here because this one's pretty interesting. And, sorry, I had to have a little sip of oh my goodness. Let me tell you, my allergies have just been wild the last couple of days. And it's so dry here. I'm just hoping for rain to bring down some of the allergens. All of the like ragweed type of stuff, it's all dried out. And whenever the wind blows, you can just see tons of deteriorating plants like in the air. And I am feeling it, let me tell you. So you'll have to bear with me. Now, down here we have a person standing here. We have what looks like a hog right here. kind of its back legs. Here is the body. Here's the head up here. Now we have another person here kind of putting its arms out, and the hog is coming to them. So I was looking at this and I thought, yeah, that really reminds me of kind of like going to, you know, I don't know what it's called exactly, but where they sell animals, right? You go to like the animal auction, and people will sell off their, you know, their livestock and that kind of thing. So I feel like what I'm taking from this is not that you are necessarily going to buy some hogs, but there is a bartering happening somewhere in your life, a bargaining, trying to come to some kind of deal, right? And I feel like for you, this is kind of the thing that, well, I keep feeling like it's going to complete the house, or it's going to complete like this vision I have, and it's the last thing I need, and it's kind of like been such a hassle to get my hands on it, right? You've been looking high and low, wide and far, and you finally find it, but it seems like the person is really covetous of what you're trying to buy from them. So it's almost kind of like maybe they don't even want to sell it, or they don't want to do the work, or, you know, whatever it is. And I feel like for you, there is this kind of anxiety, or this like wanting, right? It's just right there, and I can just almost get it, and then it would be like the final, you know, capstone of the whole thing. But it is proving to be more difficult than you had thought, okay? But we had the heart up here. So I do feel like you will come to some kind of agreement. You're going to get this worked out, okay? And I feel like really this is coming up to remind you, Sagittarius, that even in your frustration, even in that kind of, well, it's almost kind of like a bit of a frenzy. You're just about to get something, and it is becoming quite a, you know, what is it called? I don't know what it's called. I can't think of the word. I just lost my whole word. You are going back and forth, trying to find a deal. Okay, trying to agree upon something. And this is kind of the universe reminding you, yeah, honey works a lot better than getting angry. Okay, so being kind, being respectful, a little bit of the finesse, right? But I see this ending up being something that really does work out for you. And I'm interested about what this could be. Right? I don't know exactly what it is, but it feels like it's something around your domestic life. Okay? Is it life or death? No, I don't think so. But I do think it's something that, yeah, you've dreamt about. You've been, you know, it's almost kind of, I would keep thinking about like going antique shopping, and you like find like the ultimate desk or chair or something, and it reminds you of like your grandmother had one like that, and you really need it because it's finally going to be the thing that completes the room. And the person says, oh yeah, that one's not for sale. But why is it out on the floor? You know? And so I see you kind of deciding, you know, what are we going to do? What are we going to do here? And so the negotiations begin. Now, let's turn it this way. We have, it looks like a bit of a windmill over here. And we have, it looks like a queen, really. You can see the head, kind of the puffy arms on the dress, and a dress right here. We also have what looks like a W right here. There's the W. Also a large E up here. E. Okay. It actually looks like elf. E-L-F. Elf. So we have it looks like a queen. We have a windmill. We also have, right in here, we have the head of a bear. You can see right here. Here's the nose and the two eyes kind of peeking out. So the windmill for me always kind of, well, it makes me think of Don Quixote, first of all. Kind of this, well, delusional traveler, right? The fool to some degree, kind of wandering in this surreal, kind of strange hero's journey. And so when I see the windmill, I almost feel like there's a wanting for change. There is like the stirrings of everything shifting, but also trying to figure out like what even is it, right? Because when we know something has to change and we know like this doesn't feel right anymore, or it's like I'm missing something, but I can't figure out what it is, right? Not your keys or your phone or nothing like that, but there's something fundamental missing from your life experience, but you don't necessarily know, right? And so that's what the windmill really kind of indicates to me, that there is something that you are wanting for, something you are desiring, but you're trying to figure out, what is this? What is it that I'm looking for? So we have the queen and we have the bear, and the bear represents the mother for me, absolutely. The queen. Now, I almost feel like maybe you grew up in a life where you were pretty sheltered, protected. Maybe you grew up in like a small community, or, you know, in a place where there, you know, law and order were a big deal, and manners and the way that people behaved, it was, you know, very prescribed. And so, right, I feel like as you've gotten older, whatever part of your life you are in, it is past the maiden, though. Past the if you think of the three goddesses, we have the maiden, we have the mother, and we have the crone. And definitely past the younger part of your life, maybe into the later stages of your motherhood or into the cronehood. Which, listen, I say crone, you might like kind of shrink back from that, recoil. No, the crone is like the crown jewels of our life. We are most blessed to walk into those later era, those later chapters, that part of our life where we get to start to really shed all of the stuff that we thought we had to carry with us when we were younger, right? So I do feel like you're coming to this real awareness where it's kind of like, okay, I've lived a pretty good life, right? I've done a lot of the stuff, if not all of the things I set out to do. But now I'm realizing that there's something, and I feel restless, and I feel a stirring, and I feel drawn to something. It's calling for me. And yet, I don't know what it is. But you're going to find out, okay? You're going to find out. And yeah. And I, you know, immediately I feel like this, maybe it has to do with something spiritual, okay? Love of some kind, agape. self-empowerment, human development, these kinds of things. Okay, so we have a shovel over here. We have a larger V. We have a stone face. So I feel like at odds possibly with somebody with a V name. But I feel like there's almost a sense of like burying old things. Letting it go. Just letting it go. We have the number 5. And we have some fish. Right down over here. So money. There is a focus on money. So I wonder if you had some turmoil around finances with this person. I'm wondering if it's a family member, because I just feel like this person was like felt very emboldened to kind of do whatever they did. Now, I do feel like time has passed and there maybe is this desire to kind of squash old beef and like just get back on the same page with one another. And so this might be kind of that person from the beginning, right? Where we were talking about the dog, the friend who will be reaching out, whoever it was, and you kind of have grown apart or you haven't talked a lot lately. And maybe maybe it had something to do with finances or, lending them help or them lending you help or whatever. Okay. But I feel like there is a real want for resolution. Now we're going to ask the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, what's going to happen here, right? What is going on with this relationship? How is this going to go here? Okay. And I'm probably going to do 6 cards. I usually say 3 and I end up doing 6. So we have concentration, birth, riches. Okay. Independence, patience, adaptability. Okay, so I'm wondering if you are like the older sibling or older kind of friend in the friends group, because I feel like you have this very like parental kind of energy, motherly energy, fatherly energy, whatever it is. I feel like you're very practical about things. You are not somebody who just kind of follows every whim, every desire. And I feel like this is almost somebody who you have known since birth. So I'm wondering if this is a sibling. Now, I feel like you have, in some capacity, come into some money. Now, maybe you're super rich. Maybe you're just, doing pretty good, paying the bills, middle class, whatever that means anymore. Or maybe you appear to be doing more well than you actually might be doing, right? People perceive you to be like balling out and you maybe are not, right? But here is the thing. This person, I think that you took care of them a lot. And even as adults, I think that you probably borrowed money to them or something, okay? I feel like in some way there's almost this sense of like being too familiar as far as finances go. Like they just don't, it's like you borrow them some money and then they're back in a couple weeks asking for some more. And I feel like there maybe was kind of a falling out about this, or at least setting boundaries, and maybe they didn't like that. But I think it's important, you know, especially if this is like a sibling you raised or you had a big part in raising. It's important for, you know, for them to have their independence. Now, I'm not a real tough love person. I'm also not a person that's had a lot of money to give to people. So people don't really ask me for money like that. But I do think, you know, there's something to be said for letting people figure it out. You know, sometimes we just need to figure it out for ourselves. But I do think that you have the patience to continue to try to help them, to work with them, to figure out how are they going to, you know, maybe budget their money a little better or pay their bills on time or, you know, whatever it is. Maybe helping them set up a system and adaptability. Well, yeah, we know that you're adaptable. You know, you're going to figure out how to help in the best way, you know. Because, listen, I don't think that Sagittarius people are suckers. But you have big hearts and you're so empathetic and you don't like to see people struggle, especially people you love, okay? But here's the deal. Sometimes when we enable the people that we love and they just become reliant on basically, you know, us taking care of everything for them, or at least, you know, some of the things like finances, it doesn't give them room to grow themselves, you know. I know it's hard though. I can sit here and say all this, but I can see, you know, my daughter, she's only 4, but when she's like 25, you think I'm going to say no to giving her money? I don't think so. I'll be such a pushover. My goodness. So it's easy for me to sit here and say this, but yeah, I do think this is a part where maybe you need to kind of really stick to your boundaries, okay? And hopefully over time, this is less of a part of the dynamic that you have with this person, because I feel like once they get established and they really are feeling comfortable in their own lives and confident, there's so much room for you to have such a wonderful, stress-free relationship, okay? Now, we're going to do 3 lucky numbers. I'm just going to... All right, we have 85, the number 85. 89. All 80s, huh? Are you an 80s baby too? I am. 90. All right. 85, 89, 90. Okay. And last but not least, we're going to do our inner child oracle. And this will just kind of punctuate the whole reading. Okay? So let's see what they have to say. 6, become aware. Listen to the wisdom of the body. Listen to the wisdom of the body. All right. Okay, Sagittarius. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I always enjoy doing these readings, and I really enjoy interacting with you all. I enjoy the emails, the Discord chats, the comments, all of it. So thank you so much. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it does help the channel. All this engagement stuff is important for the channel. Also, if you haven't subscribed, think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. And again, if you want to leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. All right. Well, I guess that's it. I thank you. I love you. We'll talk in a few days. And Oh my gosh, I'm just watching the news, the weather, right? That's my other oldie thing that I like to do is I just watch the weather. I don't watch the news so much, but the weather I do watch. Shout out to a wonderful channel. There's actually 2 weather channels that I love on YouTube. And one is, of course, and we probably all know about this, and these are for the United States, by the way. Ryan Hall Y'all, which I really like his channel and his team a lot. And the other one is, let me make sure that I say it right. I don't want to get it wrong. Yes, okay. His name is Mitch West Weather. Mitch, Mitch, West, as in going west, right? Weather. And they're just getting your, it's so easy to get your weather stuff now on YouTube. I don't even know how I was living before. But I've been watching this next hurricane coming in, as I'm sure we all are, right? Hurricane Milton. And so I'm just praying that that thing falls apart before it hits land. And I hope that all of you will do the same. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's my whole thing. Just really by the end of the week, I hope that, we're not having another awful experience, or it hasn't super affected us up north, obviously, but yeah, watching and praying for the people that have been affected. So, all right, Sagittarius, I love you. Take care of yourself. We're gonna talk soon. Good night, good night, good night.